and welcome to Grimwit with Dimwits. I'm Blondie.
And I'm T.
How you doing these fine day, T?
Fine day, just one?
Yeah, you only get one day.
Well, these fine day, I'm doing pretty good. How about you? You sound terrible.
Well, I'm just a little sick. We went on vacation, and I made it all the way through the vacation, and on the way home, it got me, which I can't complain if it's like on the way home.
No, as long as it's on the way home, you're good as gold.
I'm kind of thinking of myself as being Phoebe from Friends when she got sick and was singing in the cafe doing her low, sultry voice. So in my head, my voice is low and sultry.
Okay, let's go with that.
Gotta be something. What do we got going on this week for our Grim Bits of Coal?
Our little grim bits of coal. Well, we've got another Christmas story, obviously. And this one is really sad.
Aw.
Let's let the grim begin. Sameena Imam, a lovely 34-year-old woman, went missing on Christmas Eve of 2014. Sameena, don't you love that name? Isn't that pretty?
It's very pretty.
Was working as a marketing manager at Costco warehouse in Cardiff, which is a city in Wales. She was very pretty, smart, and successful. Her job made her responsible for overseeing the marketing of several warehouses throughout England. Her career was thriving and brought in a very nice paycheck as well. You know, she sounds like she was quite the catch.
Personally, I'd say she's quite the catch just because she works at Costco. I do love Costco. I'm simple. What can I say?
Okay. But from all outward appearances, even with her success, the one thing she didn't have in her life was a man. She had been single for over 2 years. Her family didn't understand why she hadn't found love, but they assumed she was career-focused and eventually love would show up. But Sameena had a secret. She had already found the love of her life, and she has been in a hidden relationship for 2 years, only confiding in a couple of very close friends.
Ooh.
She had her secret boyfriend, Roger Cooper, very well hidden because he was one of her colleagues and a fellow manager at the Costco branch in Coventry. Now, let me just say, Roger is no looker. In fact, he looks exactly like the puppeteer Jeff Dunham's grouchy old man puppet, Walter. And I'm not exaggerating. Slap a red bow on this guy, and they're totally twinning.
Well, that is very disturbingly descriptive.
And it's totally accurate. You got to look this guy up.
Okay, I will.
41-year-old, definitely hasn't aged well, Roger, and way too good for him, Sameena, kept their relationship a secret for 2 reasons.
You need to have an opinion.
Moi? I am not judgmental. I do not know what you're talking about.
Okay, what did you say earlier? We'll go with that.
The first was that Roger had a girlfriend named Susan. They lived together, and for 10 years, they had been in a serious relationship. Well, at least Susan was serious, but apparently not Roger. But, you know, that's not his fault. He was probably getting way too much action on his road show with Jeff Dunham. I'm just saying.
Okay. I guess so. And is the dating pool that small?
Must be. This is crazy. The other reason they did not go public with their relationship was because they didn't know if they would get into trouble at work. Relationships between staff were forbidden. So rather than risk their careers, they both decided it was best that nobody knew. So this little regulation sounds like it was extremely convenient for Roger, the old codger.
I mean, I understand why it's forbidden in the workplace, but a lot of times people work so many hours that that's their only source of
interaction.
Yeah.
I get it, but I believe in keeping work and your personal life separate.
I mean, I see that too, but you got to work with what you got.
But in a tale as old as time, Sameena had fallen deeply in love with Roger. She had been willing to keep things a secret for a while, but as years passed, she expected their relationship to take a turn for the better. She wanted to go public and get Roger to commit to being exclusive. She just wanted to put her stank all over that balding curmudgeon.
It's all right. You got me. I got curious and I looked. He definitely isn't someone you'd be fighting over. And Sameena, she's very pretty.
They're just not, like, I don't get it.
Opposites attract in this case.
I guess so. Roger had professed to love her and promised to leave his girlfriend at some point. But 2 years in, Sameena was getting tired of waiting. She wanted to share their love with her family and friends. And of course she's going to want a normal, official relationship that she could brag about. But why she chose him, we'll never know. She could have done so much better.
Maybe he was charming.
Doesn't sound like it.
Judgy pants?
So Sameena started pressuring Roger to leave his girlfriend. She told him to either leave his relationship with Susan by the end of 2014 or she was done with him. She just didn't want to be the other woman anymore. Roger told her not to worry and promised he would leave Susan. He told her they would be official by Christmas. Sameena was so excited to hear this that she booked a 2-night stay at a luxury hotel for the two of them in Birmingham to celebrate their commitment to one another. The room cost her £500, and she even made reservations at the hotel restaurant for a fancy romantic dinner. She was going all out because maybe there'd be an engagement ring for Christmas. How many women have been in this situation, believing that their already taken man is going to leave their woman to be with them? Too many to count, ladies. Let's smarten up.
Sad to say, you are right about that one.
I am right, and it is really sad. But Sameena was overjoyed about spending 2 unforgettable romantic nights with Roger, solidifying their love, before heading to London on December 26th, which is Boxing Day, to celebrate the holidays with her family. Boxing Day was an important family celebration that Sameena would never miss. So before you ask, I looked up Boxing Day because for us Americans, this sounds like a day where either boxing matches or people wearing boxer shorts are celebrated. This makes no sense to us. But in the UK, it's a holiday celebrated after Christmas Day, occurring on the second day of Christmas tide, which is the 26th of December. It originally started as a day to donate gifts to people in need, but has evolved and become part of Christmas festivities.
Well, that's nice. And you're right. I was going to ask what it was.
I know. I was like, what is this? But when Sameena didn't show up for her family celebration on Boxing Day, they immediately became concerned. They knew she would never miss that time with them. When they phoned and texted her, she didn't reply. If there had been an emergency, there was no way she wouldn't call someone and let them know. So they contacted the police. And after about a week, the police began searching for the missing 34-year-old Sameena. Why they waited a week, I'm not sure, but that seems like too long, don't you think?
Absolutely. And I'm glad you're thinking for me because that was my question too.
A whole week? I mean, I can see 24 hours.
That's way too long, especially when she is expected to be there.
During their search, they found that Sameena had left work at around 4 p.m. on the 24th. Via video, they also saw that Roger had left a few minutes later. The two of them always went to their own cars to avoid suspicion at work, but despite their attempts to hide their relationship, investigators spoke to Costco employees and some of their co-workers had caught on that they had something going on between them. You know, you're never as slick as you think you are.
I mean, unless they never saw each other or didn't come into contact working with each other, yeah, you can't hide it.
Especially if she was all in love with him like that.
Which makes googly eyes when they pass each other in the hall.
Right? Little babas coming out of her mouth.
That's attractive.
Police also interviewed a close friend of Sameena's who confirmed the affair. She also told them about the hotel room that Sameena had booked for their special day. It turned out that no one had checked into that hotel on December 24th, and the room remained empty for 2 days. Then they saw that Sameena had gone to a Marks and Spencer store where she bought snacks, which included fancy chocolates and a bottle of Bellini. After shopping, she spoke to her sister and confirmed that she would be at the family gathering on the 26th. Police decided to question Roger, and he claimed that he had ended his relationship with Sameena a long time ago, but she didn't want to let him go, and she even became aggressive about pursuing him. She insisted that he go with her to the hotel in Birmingham to give their relationship another chance.
Well, isn't that convenient for him?
Right? Everybody's chasing this fool. Give me a break. But when police tried to confirm the breakup with Sameena's friend, she said she knew nothing about a breakup. To the contrary, Sameena was the happiest she had ever been, thinking that she had won Roger over and they were about to go next level and commit to one another. But Roger claims that the last time he physically saw Sameena was on December 24th when he left work. While he's talking to investigators, Roger's voice starts cracking. He's trying to look emotional, or perhaps genuinely is emotional, but either way, he's completely falling apart. He says after leaving work, within 5 minutes, Sameena phoned him and said, "I will see you tonight then." And he said, "No, I'm not going to be there." Choking back tears, he says, "She tried to persuade me one more time, but she was disappointed. After our conversation, she may have thought I was still going to go because she didn't seem as angry or as irked as she should have been." Then right on cue, he makes an ugly cry face and says that was the last time he actually heard her voice. I seriously cannot fathom what she saw in this melty-faced man.
I hope it wasn't out of desperation.
I don't know why she would be desperate. Then Roger tells the detective that she texted him a couple of hours later at about 7 p.m. He reads the text, which says, "I'm going to where I am truly cared for." Roger assumed this meant she was going to Birmingham to see one of her friends. He knew eventually she would end up with family, so he wasn't worried. A couple of days later, on Boxing Day, Sameena sent another text saying, "I'm furious. I'm going to where people really care about me." So don't you think that's weird that she sent an almost duplicate text 2 days later?
Yeah, why send it again? Exact same thing.
It's not believable at all.
No.
If I was that furious, I'd have a whole lot of brand new things to say, and there would be a lot of expletives involved after 2 days of fuming.
He actually showed the police these texts?
Yeah, he was reading them off his phone and he showed it to them.
Sounds a little
Right.
suspicious.
On January 4th, 2015, police managed to locate Sameena's missing BMW. However, it was found near Luton, about 100 kilometers from Coventry, where Sameena worked. So why was the car parked there? Was it there to make it appear that she had gone on vacation, leaving from Luton Airport? If that were the case, why did she not inform her family of this? It makes no sense. And strangely, the car held none of her personal belongings and no sign of any of the items they knew she purchased at the store. But most importantly, there was absolutely no fingerprints in the car. How can someone drive a car and leave no prints on the steering wheel, rearview mirror, or door handle? It seemed that someone had meticulously cleaned Sameena's car.
I can see her getting mad and throwing away all the romantic stuff, but there should have been some sign of fingerprints.
Absolutely. Additionally, the driver's seat was pushed really far back. Sameena was only 5 foot 2 inches tall and could never have reached the pedals with the seat in that position. So obviously someone else who was very tall drove her car and wiped off all of their fingerprints. Investigators are now convinced that there is foul play involved.
A week later.
Right? I'm not impressed with that at all. Detectives decide to check Sameena's phone and see what information they could gain from it. They found out that Sameena didn't end up going to the luxury hotel in Birmingham that evening. Instead, she ended up in Leicester. And after further investigation, Roger Cooper also ended up in Leicester that evening. Their phones had them at the exact same location. They both pinged at the home of Roger's younger brother, 39-year-old David Cooper. And shortly after her arrival, her phone went dead. Nope, that's not suspicious at all either, right?
No, and it's completely random for her to go to his brother's house.
It is random. David Cooper had previously served in the military and suffered from compulsive hoarding. He collected everything that he found interesting.
Apparently his brother did as well, but it was women instead of stuff.
He was running out of room for them. So when the police arrived and wanted to search his home, this was no easy task. Trying to find some clues on whether Sameena had been in the cluttered home, they decided to check the refrigerator first. And bingo, they found fancy chocolates and a bottle of Bellini, exactly the same as the items that Sameena had bought on December 24th. You know, this guy is in the military. Shouldn't he be a smidge smarter than that? And yes, I had to stop myself from saying a fridge smidge because you know she likes her rhymes.
Yes, she does. And forget being in the military. Where's the common sense?
Thank you. I mean, not smart at all. Not smart at all. Now, the police bring David in for an interview, and at first he claims he's only seen a photo of Sameena and doesn't know her. Then he says he met her twice, but he didn't know her name. Then he says all he knew was that his brother was ing her. When the detective says, so they were in a relationship, David quickly corrects him and says, no, I wouldn't go that far. You know, this guy's acting like this poor woman is some kind of an instigator. Well, all this time, the only thing she's guilty of is loving his brother and having horrible taste in men.
I mean, so he's basically blaming her for getting the fact that his brother already has a relationship. It's all her fault.
Of course it is. Where you been?
I know. Tweedledee and Tweedledum there.
But at this point, David is unaware of the items that the police have discovered in his home. In the pocket of David's coat, police had found a train ticket dated January 4th to Leicester, where David lives, from Luton. Coincidentally, Sameena's car was discovered that very day abandoned in Luton. Come on now, that ticket should have been tossed immediately.
These guys must not listen to true crime podcasts or watch true crime on TV. All these things were explained over and over again on what not to do.
Or like you said, a little common sense would have went a long way for them. Of course, both brothers were arrested on suspicion of murder. Roger denied any involvement with the disappearance, but finally admitted that on December 24th, right after work, he went to his brother's house to give him a Christmas present. Both brothers were big Star Wars fans, and he wanted to give his brother some Star Wars figurines. But he was only at his brother's home for an hour and then went back to his own home in Coventry, where he spent the next few days with his family. He insisted he knew nothing about Sameena's whereabouts. But, as Yoda would say, pants on fire, liar, liar, you are.
Okay, with your dad jokes.
I like that one. I did good on that one.
You did good on that one.
David now has a new version of events. He says that right after Roger left his home, Sameena knocked on his door. He knew she was the woman Roger had been seeing, and all he could think was that she must have followed Roger to his home. She started asking where Roger was and why he wouldn't see her. Uninvited, she pushed her way in and sat on the sofa and became hysterical. As ex-military, David claims to have had a special military container filled with chloroform, and he thought this was the perfect moment to use it. He believed he could calm the situation by putting her to sleep, so he soaked a kitchen towel with the substance and held it over Sameena's face. Sameena lost consciousness. Physically petite Lil Sameena didn't stand a chance against him, as David is quite the beast at 6 foot 7 inches tall. In fact, both of the brothers were really big men. Roger was 6 foot 5 inches tall. Freaking animals.
And you said she was 5'2"?
Yes, ma'am.
So she barreled her way into David's home?
What could he do?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, she's a bully.
5'2" bully?
Ridiculous. According to David's testimony, Sameena never regained consciousness. He says it was an accident and he didn't plan to kill her. Once he realized she was dead, he wrapped her body in saran wrap and then put it into a sleeping bag. He disposed of her body somewhere in the woods, but couldn't remember where. He also admitted that he moved her car. But later it was revealed that at the beginning of December, David had bought 200 milliliters of chloroform on eBay right after a visit with his brother Roger. You only buy chloroform for one reason. How did he not think they were going to find that purchase?
So Tweedledum also admitted to using the chloroform that he just had around. And if all of this is supposed to be an accident, why not just call the police and say it was an accident? Or, I was just trying to calm her down. Why go to all these links?
Exactly. Links that they didn't even think through.
Right. And who has that much saran wrap?
Costco. That's bad. That's
my
so
bad. I forgot about Costco.
Okay, we're going to hell. But investigators still wanted to find Sameena's body and find out what truly happened to her. Finally, they received a tip from someone who called to share their suspicions about where her body might be hidden. On January 16th, an allotment, which we don't use that term here, but it means like a piece of land that was owned by David Cooper, was searched. There they unearthed a saran-wrapped female body in a sleeping bag. Sadly, the family identified the body as Sameena Imam, who had been missing for 3 weeks. Ironically, on the wall of the shed that David used for his allotment hung a sign that read, "Don't wind me up. I'm running out of places to hide the bodies." Right.
Let's just advertise the fact.
Dear Lord, what is wrong with this man?
What is wrong with both of them?
Yeah. You can't make this stuff up, people.
I almost wish you could.
Come to find out that despite Roger assuring Sameena that he would leave his partner and they would be officially together, he never had plans to do so. Duh. In fact, in November 2014, just a month before her murder, Roger and Susan bought a new house together. Ah, but wait. There's more.
What?
Roger had also been having a second affair with another coworker 6 months before Sameena's death, and this woman became pregnant by him. But they decided to terminate the pregnancy. Seeing how Roger handles ultimatums, this woman may have also been in danger if she had threatened him.
She's actually the lucky one out of all of this.
She is. She really is. Roger obviously didn't want to give up his long-term partner of 10 years, nor did he want to lose his job that he worked really hard to get. Should these affairs come to light, he had a lot to lose. Eventually, Roger came clean and admitted to the planned murder, and he was the one who had sent the text from Sameena's phone to himself. That was pretty dumb to send text from her phone when his phone was literally right next to hers and they could prove that. He just gave them a humongous clue with that mistake.
Well, he may have given them a clue, but he had none.
No, he absolutely had none. He also claimed that this was not the first time he had tried to rid himself of his intrusive lover, Sameena. On December 12th, at an employee Christmas party, he had told Sameena that he booked them a hotel room for the night. He said he would get there first and be waiting for her with a big surprise. However, he never booked a room. Instead, he had his brother David waiting in a car in the hotel parking lot. David was to use chloroform on Sameena and incapacitate her. The brothers communicated via text messages, but used quotes from Star Wars movies to avoid leaving any evidence of their deadly plans.
And I find it interesting that the brother was just so into going along with the plan.
Yeah, it's like he's just like, whatever you want. Who you want me to kill?
I got the space in my allotment.
I love my brothers, but you know what? Nah.
Although you will help me hide a body.
Without a doubt. But thankfully, Sameena decided to take a taxi to the hotel and was dropped off just a few feet from the main entrance, and David could not intercept her. And then she was upset when Roger hadn't booked a room and he stood her up. The opportunity was lost.
I would have walked out at that point.
It sounds like there's many times she should have walked out. But the Cooper brothers quickly came up with a second plan. When Roger and Sameena left work on December 24th, Roger told her that before they went to the hotel in Birmingham, they would stop by his brother's place in Leicester to exchange gifts. They arrived at David's house at 5:07 p.m., and Roger left at 6:25 p.m. to return to Coventry. During this time, Sameena was brutally murdered.
This may be morbid, but was it the chloroform that killed her? Do you know?
They made mention of the chloroform and strangulation.
Poor girl.
I know. The trial for Sameena's murder began in August 2015. Both Roger and David Cooper were sentenced to a minimum of 30 years in prison. The family of Sameena Imam are still in shock and will never be able to trust again. They are absolutely devastated by their loss.
Poor things.
This one was sad.
And for no reason. Just break up with her.
It's not even like she said, if you don't be with me, I'm going to tell your girlfriend. She never said that.
No, she wanted him to make the choice. That's all she wanted.
She didn't give him an ultimatum.
That's
she just said, I won't be with you anymore. It would have been easy.
But he got greedy.
Like he just wanted to get rid of her no matter what. It made no sense.
It's so senseless.
Yes, it really is.
We would like to thank you for listening. Thank you very much for bringing this to us. It was sadly interesting.
Yes, it was.
Remember to take care and don't forget to let your grimaginations run wild. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
We just want to thank you all for sharing your time with us. And if you'd like to send in your creepy little grim bits, we would love to hear your personal stories, interests, and suggestions. Please email them to grimwitwithdimwits@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at grimwitwithdimwits, X at grimwitwithdimwits, Facebook grimwitwithdimwits, and YouTube grimwitwithdimwits. Join us every Monday for new episodes, and feel free to share us with your grim-loving friends.
We would really appreciate if you would take a minute to rate and review. 5-star ratings go a long way and would really help us out. Until then, we would love it if you'd come back next week to delve with us into the strange and unusual things we just can't wrap our skulls around.